On YouTube. What's up, Raider Nation? I'm Bubba the Raider coming at you tonight. It is Sunday, right before the draft. It is exciting time. Before I start this video, I'm just going to give a quick shout out to my niece. I think this is the first video I've uploaded since she's been born. I know that my sister and her dumbass likes to watch and comment on these videos. So, Allie, if you're listening to this, go ahead and show Addy this video so she knows Uncle Bubba knows what he's talking about, and we can maybe fix the whole "you're a Chief fan" thing and make sure that that mistake doesn't continue on with her. All right, so I'm going to come today and let you guys kind of see some thoughts I've had as we've been getting closer to the draft. There are a couple ways I was thinking about doing this, and we'll see if it works out or not. Mock drafts are so much fun, but they're like not realistic at all. And I really like to look back and just see like how much better the Raiders would be if they had done the things that I had mocked. And yeah, I think they'd be a lot better. So funny how that works. But I think that there are three distinct directions I think the Raiders can go, or should go, rather, in this upcoming draft. We have pick number 7, and we're in a precarious situation. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to show you kind of an idea for all three of those directions, knowing very well that the Raiders probably won't do any of the things that I think they should, and that the draft board won't fall this way, that I don't expect to hit really any of these picks. And these simulators sometimes have the most ridiculous things. Like you might get Bryce Young falling to us at 7. That's not going to happen, or I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm going to go in reverse order of the top 3 things. And again, it's really just focusing on the first couple rounds is where we'll see the most impact of the decision. So the third, if I was listing these out in terms of, there's 3 distinct decisions I think we should make. This would be number 3, not my first choice, but my third choice. So let's start. And I think, we'll see if it falls that way. Oh, it would help. It would really help if I picked selecting the Raiders. That's embarrassing. I'm going to keep that in there. All right, let's try this again. So the first decision is, oh my gosh, I would take this in a heartbeat. Probably. Maybe not. But getting DeForest Buckner, pick 35, pick 79, a second, and Mo Alley Cox would be insane. That would be insane. But that's not what I'm going to do. I think what I would do here, the number 3 thing I think the Raiders should do is go quarterback. I know it's a position of need. I don't think this year's class is nearly as good as next year's. And I don't have a lot of high hopes for our team in terms of wins and losses this year, if I'm speaking honestly. My number 1 quarterback that I would want the Raiders to take is Anthony Richardson. I know that he's not ready, and I think he's so intriguing. If I was a coach, I would want to. I would think that I could make the most out of him and get him to his ceiling, especially with a year or 2 to sit behind Jimmy Garoppolo. So I'm going to take Will Levis. He's my least favorite of the 4 from what I've seen. I also really like. Well, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I'm going to take Will Levis here. So if we go quarterback in the first round, I'm not trading any picks. And it does make a difference how the board flies or falls. I would say that we have to go defense with our second round pick. But looking at this, one of my favorite offensive linemen is sitting here, DeJuan Jones. The guy's a monster. And I think he could really solidify our right side of the line, so we're going to do that. We have so many holes on this team that I just don't think there's any way we're going to address all of them. Okay, so this, we have to go defense. I think corner and D tackle and maybe linebacker are our biggest needs. I'm a huge Noah Sewell guy because I'm an Oregon fan. But Jack Campbell's sitting here. There's no way he's there in the fourth. I'm not going to take him because I don't think, or in the third, he's not going to be there. So I'm going to go ahead, like, Sakai Ika is not going to be there either. I almost want to take Keanu Benton here, and I'm going to. I'm going to take Keanu Benton. I would take Jack Campbell here in a heartbeat, but I just don't think that's realistic for how this goes. I think he might even sneak into the first round, if I'm honest. All right, here's the pick we got for Darren Waller. Sorry, I was spacing there. And the truth of the matter is, this draft class in terms of tight end is really just special, and I do think that the Raiders should spend a little bit of capital on addressing the tight end position. But I'm gonna say, well, Zach Kuntz is there. You know what? I'm gonna take Zach Kuntz from Old Dominion. I think tight end for tight end, and I only did that because I knew we picked again here in 10 picks. And some of the people I was looking at, like, I wouldn't mind double dipping here in the defensive tackle, taking Zach Pickens. But I think I'm going to go ahead and grab, I can never say his name, Henry To'o or something like that. I know I slaughtered that. So I'm going to take that linebacker. But the problem is, with this, is, again, like, we are addressing needs, but we have so many needs that I feel like we're not doing it justice. So I think what I'm going to do here is I am going to take Jarrett Patterson. I'm a little bit higher on Jarrett Patterson. I know it says he's a center. Maybe we put him at center and move Andre James to guard. Maybe we just have a little bit of a competition there. We've already addressed the offensive line, but we need to continue to address it. And then I'm going to turn around and take Mekhi Gardner. I haven't seen a ton of film on him, but I think he's the number one corner here. No, Miles Brooks, and truth be told, I haven't watched any tape on him. I have a Mekhi Gardner, if I remember right. He seems pretty slim, but he could be good depth in our backfield. Okay. Looking at who's available. And I'm sure that there are guys that if you're watching this and you're scouting and maybe you've seen guys I haven't, because I say this every year, I feel like, but I didn't have enough time to scout like I normally would like to. I'm gonna take Byron Young. I'm gonna double dip into the defensive tackle pool because we took Keanu Benton earlier, so I'm gonna take him again. We have to get better on the interior, and we have a lot of mid-round guys. We don't have that superstar. I don't think we should take Jalen Carter unless we know a lot more than we probably do. But we have to get better interior pressure. That is at the top of our to-do list. So I'm going to take him. All right. I really like Mo Ibrahim too. He seems like a really big, powerful guy. I'm going to take him. I don't think we need a running back, but you never know. You can always use more depth. Worst case scenario, he can be like a practice squad guy. And who knows how the this is a stud. Carl Brooks. I'm really high on Carl Brooks. I think he'll be gone by the fourth round, and I don't necessarily know that he plays defensive tackle. He's kind of an all over the place lineman. I'm going to take him again right here. All right, we're in the seventh round. You're just kind of throwing darts. I know I feel like I'm all over the place today with my thought process, but to wrap up my point, I don't know how the Josh Jacobs situation is going to play out, and we might need a pretty good committee. And so I think going back to that Muhammad Ibrahim pick, I think that he could bring some value. I am not opposed to taking a shot on a quarterback here again. I know we already took one, but I wouldn't be opposed. And DTR is a stud. I've never been that huge on Max Duggan, and I like Jake Hayner, but I'm going to go Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Okay. Now we're getting down here. A lot of these guys I haven't watched. And again, you are just taking shots here. We could take another tight end. This is supposed to be such a good tight end class. I'm going to take Yasir Abdullah from Louisville. He and I think it's his cousin, Yaya, at Louisville are both supposed to be pretty decent pass rushers. So that's what I'm going to take. All right, so we went quarterback, right tackle, D tackle. I feel all right about this. Tight end of the future, linebacker, center of the future. I think that these guys right here can be really solid contributors for the future, right? But we still end up with a ton of holes, right? I think Carl Brooks is a stud and could end up being a starter down the road. So that is my third thought process that the Raiders should do. Take a quarterback in this year's class at 7. The second thing I think the Raiders should do, the second path I would take if I was in charge. We're going to start. Let's hope it's worked. Well, that's wild. It is going to work, but they're offering the same thing. Okay. So again, I think Jalen Carter is the best player in the draft. I'm not going to take him. I don't think the Raiders will take him. I think given the Henry Ruggs situation, they're not going to take him. Now, the second route I think the Raiders go at 7 is a corner. And between Christian Gonzalez or Devin Witherspoon, everything in me being a Duck homer is screaming Gonzalez. I would love that. I loved watching him play for the Ducks this year, though this was his only year he transferred from Colorado. I think he's a stud. With the film I've watched, I do kind of lean towards Devin Witherspoon, and so I'm going to take him here. The Cardinals made that easy on me. I think it's a tough call between the two of them. So let's see where we're sitting. So we took a corner. I'm thinking right now, I like Kalijah Cansey. I actually think he'll go top 15. So that's one direction. We could end up taking Mozzie Smith here, and I would be okay with that. But I like Darnell Washington, and I like Osiris Torrance, but I'm going to take Hendon Hooker. I think Hendon Hooker, if he wasn't hurt, I think he would be in this conversation and would be up there with ahead of Anthony Richardson probably, and maybe, and Will Levis. I'm going to take him. I've struggled with this pick. I love his play. I was scouting him once the Raiders announced that they were going to bench Derek Carr. I knew that the writing was on the wall, and I was upset about that, so I started looking at the quarterbacks. My biggest problem is he's old. I think he'll be 25, 26 before he throws a ball. in the NFL. But like if you think about it, we had Derek for a long time. We had him for 9 years. If we strike gold with Hendon Hooker, he takes a year. We have him for 10 years. That puts him at worst 36 in 10 years. Like, that's okay. Quarterbacks play that long. So I'm going to take Hendon Hooker here. I'm going to reject here. All right. And this is another situation like last time. Drew Sanders is a first-round linebacker. I'm not going to take him just because he's not going to be here. Otherwise, there's no way in hell. Unless he comes out and he like has some sort of crazy scenario, there's no way in hell he's going to be sitting here with this pick. I'm going to take Gervin Dexter. He needs, again, it's the same thing. Sakai Ika is not going to be here either. I think he's a second-round pick. And I would take Keanu Benton. Like, this is the same situation we found ourselves in last time. I want to go D-tackle. I've heard a lot about Tyreek Stevenson. Do we double up on corner? We could double up on corner. We really could use it. I mean, that's a tough one. I am going to take... I'm going to double up on corner. I've heard that Tyreek Stevenson might end up going in the first. I've only watched a little bit of tape on him, not a ton, but I think that would help us doubling up on corner. I'm trying not to repeat things here. It's wild. I just seen this name, Kayshon Boutte. Like, it's wild how in this process the roller coaster he's been through, where he was projected to be a top 15 pick, and then he announced he was coming back, and then he announced, no, he's not actually coming back. And now people are, like, passing on him, and I, too, am going to pass on him. I'm going to take Ivan Pace. This guy seems like a thumper. He seems like he really can help. I would have taken Matthew Bergeron here, because I don't feel like... What did we take? We took a quarterback. I feel like we need to address our offensive line, but I'm going to take Ivan Pace. We have to fix this defense. Okay. People are really... I'm starting to hear a lot of... Oh, okay. Well, I love Jonathan Mingo. I think he's an absolute stud and a total possibility here, but we don't need wide receivers. I think he'll be gone in the second round, and I think he could. It wouldn't surprise me if a team took a shot on him in the first. I think Jonathan Mingo is an absolute baller. But it's not that big of a position of need right now. We've addressed the wide receiver a ton. We have really good ones, and I think what we need is an offensive lineman. I've heard a lot about this Tyler Steen guy. As of late, I think he's been building up a little bit of steam. Steam. So I'm going to take him. But if Mingo is sitting there at 5, I'm not going to be able to avoid that. Okay. I like this kid, Tajay Spears. This kid too, Jomo. But I'm going to take Jacqueline Roy, defensive tackle from LSU. I'm going to reject this. All right, what do I want to do here? I'm going to take Schoonmaker, the tight end from Michigan. I've watched some of his tape, and I like what I see out of him. And then, I think we've already taken 2 corners. We doubled up, didn't we, up here? No, we didn't. Yes, we did. I would take Garrett Williams here, too. There was a while where he was being projected in the first or the second, and he's kind of fallen. I'm not sure why. I haven't heard a lot about why. But this kid from Syracuse seems like he might be pretty good. Rajon Wright, being a Ducks fan, which is actually going to influence this next pick, I think. Really big. His brother plays for the Cowboys. He was on one of the seasons of Last Chance U, so getting to see him was pretty cool. I think I'm going to go, though, being a Ducks homer again. This kid can't stay healthy, but when he is healthy and when he's on the field, he's a stud. And it pains me to say that. I watched him. I was actually at the game in Autzen this year when Washington beat Oregon, really killing our playoff hopes. I'm going to take Jackson Kirkland. He's a guy, he might project better on the interior at the NFL level, but if he can stay healthy, he will be good. But regardless of that, like, he's just solid depth, and that's what we need. Because we end up with a lot of issues. Okay. I like Deuce Vaughn, too. I mean, it looks like the board is falling pretty much how it should. No real crazy value here. I like Deuce Vaughn. He's real small. But this is the 7th. This is the 6th round. We have another pick coming up. I'm going to take Aiden O'Connell from Purdue. I think, Jimmy Garoppolo is always hurt. I know that we have Brian Hoyer and Chase Garbers, but I don't really care. And there's no chance, I don't think there's a chance that, though he says he will, Hendon Hooker, who we took in the 2nd round, is going to come out of here and play in week 1. I know that I'm pretty sure he tore his ACL in late November. So I'm going to take Aiden O'Connell. But if Deuce Vaughn is in there, he just went. So if Deuce Vaughn is sitting there, I'm going to take him. I'm going to take Javon Hicks. He's a guy who's kind of moved all up and down the draft board. Safety depth would be helpful. And I'm tired of guys like, I don't know, I can't even think of his name, 33 for us, Roderick Teamer. I just think we need some fresh blood in there. I know we got Epps from the Eagles. Okay. Is there anyone that's jumping out at me? I mean, Alex Forsyth, but that's a homer pick, and I'm going to make it center from Oregon. He's a real leader on the team, and our offensive line was really good this last year. He was a big part of that. And he got hurt. I'm pretty sure he went down for a couple weeks, and we felt it. Here's the other kid I was talking about. Yazir. Oh no, that's who I took last time. Never mind. Is there anybody jumping out to me? This kid I heard got injured the other day pretty bad, and I hope he's okay. Thoughts go out to him. I don't want to duplicate picks. I've heard a lot about this kid too. And here, I don't want to duplicate picks, but I'm actually going to, because I think the value's there. I think this is right around where he should go. I'm going to take this edge rusher again, Yazir Abdullah from Louisville. I just think you can get a solid depth piece there. We need it. All right, so we went, in my opinion, probably realistically, taking my bias out of it, the best corner in this class. I think he's a stud. One of the better quarterbacks. Another real up-and-coming rising corner. A real contributor at linebacker. Potential depth piece, if not starter, down the road at offensive tackle. And then some pretty solid depth throughout. There's a chance that Schoonmaker becomes our guy moving forward, but I think just adding him to that tight end room would be helpful. Okay, and then finally, I made you wait for it. The thing that I would do, and I don't know what this is going to look like, but I think, as you can kind of see my hesitation, and especially lower on down the board, I usually know a ton of the guys who go late. I don't know a ton of them this year. I think the best thing the Raiders could do would be to trade out of this pick. This would be a stellar trade, but I'm kind of hoping to get a first in next year. And I don't think that's going to happen. I also was hoping not to move that far back. Titus Howard. So this is a really interesting idea to me. I don't know. Can I counter this? Can I get a first for next year? See, doing this with the Bengals, though, is actually not what I want to do. I would want to do it with a team like the Texans, right? And if I could get a first and a first, like trade back to 12, get a first this year and a first next year, that would be killer. It was declined. All right. I'm kind of interested in this. So it's not going to work the way I want it to, but this Colts selection here is very interesting to me. Let me counter this and go, instead of this second, give me the first for next year. Propose. Confirm. What if I add, feels like Madden. Sorry. Give me the first for next year. And I'll give you our third next year. That's not going to happen. I'm just going to accept it because I'm not going to accept it. I'm going to accept this pick, right? And we're going to pick up an offensive tackle, and then I'm going to try and trade again. We'll see what happens. Okay. So Eckler, 21. That's a big contract to go with Josh Jacobs, a big contract. Same thing here. Dalvin Cook, pick 23. I know we just got Titus Williams, but I'm going to take Jonah Williams. I'm going to accept this. So we have 2 offensive tackles. We've got depth. Okay, I just think the Raiders should wheel and deal a little bit. This would be a really good pick too. Holy crap, that's for one spot. There's no way that this all happens, but I'm going to take that. Like, we moved one spot and we picked up an absolute stud center. So, I'm going to reject all of these. Okay. So we ended up with 3 offensive linemen, and traded back, picked up a couple picks along the way. I like that. I would love to get a first rounder for next year, get in the race, but I think moving back, filling holes is important. I'm going to take Kalijah Cansey here because I think that he's an absolute monster, and he's just sitting right there. Okay. And again, I know Dalvin Cook would be a stud to have, but I don't want those 2 contracts together. See, for me, everything is saying go for Hooker here because we just helped our offensive line immensely. Immensely rebuilt our offensive line there. I wouldn't mind kicking Titus Howard into guard, having Jonah Williams as a right tackle, although I know he's leaving because he doesn't want to play right tackle. Maybe he could be a guard too. I don't know. And then having Cesar Ruiz as our center. We have a lot of depth there. Andre James, who knows how he'll be. I am going to take Hendon Hooker, actually. I know that's a duplicate pick from before, but I just think it's too good to pass up. What do we... I'm going to actually accept this trade because we're moving down 4 picks, and we're giving up 174, but we're moving up like 50 picks, so I'm going to accept that. Okay. I don't trade with the Broncos. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay. I'm going to take Jalen Jones here. He's another corner, much like the kid I was talking about earlier, Williams from Syracuse, who's kind of moved all over the place. So I'm going to take him. We don't need Corey Davis. I'm going to take Mingo. I think he's an absolute stud. I think he's worth third round pick for sure. See, now there's all these offensive linemen that are jumping off the board at me, and I feel like we've addressed it immensely. None of those trades were realistic at all. So I am going to take Carter Warren. I think he can be a starter down the road. And, if Colton Miller goes down... Okay, I thought about this at the last pick. I'm going to take him. It's a homer pick, and I actually... Truth be told, I love DJ Johnson as a person, as a kid. He's a guy who is a fan favorite because he plays defensive end and he played a lot of tight end for us and was a stud at both. I just kind of felt like he would disappear for a long time. He was kind of a jack of all trade, master of none. But I think here it's a decent pick to grab up in the 4th round. Okay. See, like Voorhees is like a borderline 1st round prospect, but he got hurt. This Bennett kid is really interesting too. I'm going to take Bennett. Reject. And Servaka Dennis looks like a pretty solid linebacker too. Get out of. I like this Chase Brown kid. I like his brother Sidney. I think even more the safety. Trading's an interesting safety. Moro Ajamo. What have we taken so far? Edge, offensive tackle, wide receiver, corner. That was quarterback here. And D tackle. And then corner again. We're going to take this Servaka Dennis. That linebacker room needs to be built up a little bit. Okay. Yeah, I just think the more we can add to our offensive line, the better we're going to be. It's been it's a huge reason. If you ask me, it's a huge reason why Derek Carr's not here anymore. And I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo, who's always hurt, and Hendon Hooker, who we took here, who in reality, if this is going the way I want it to go, we don't take a quarterback early on. We would take one around this round 5 or 6. Someone like a Jake Hayner, who actually might still be on the board. I'm going to take Carl Brooks. And we get in the Caleb Williams sweepstake next year. We try and trade back, pick up a first for the following year, and get in the Caleb Williams. I think that he's just too good to pass up, like, the opportunity to get. And I don't think even if we were to move up, I think moving up would be such a huge mistake for one of these guys. I like Anthony Richardson the best. But I think moving up would be a huge mistake because we have a chance. Like, I don't know if one of these quarterbacks gets us 7, 8 wins. So it's like, if we're not going to win 7 or 8 games, why don't we fill the real holes? Quarterback has not been a hole until we got rid of Derek Carr, and I'll stand by that statement. And let's get in the sweepstake next year. I know that's not what a lot of fans want to hear. I know it's just win, baby, and I believe that to my core, but like, just win this year or just win for the next decade? Like, which would you rather do? And for me, I think it's win for the next decade. So get a corner, fix your offensive line, fix your linebacking room, get a safety, get another D tackle. I'm going to take Dante Stills. I know his brother was a Raider for a while. Like, let's fix our real problems and pick up some picks for next year. That's what I think. I think that's the best route to go. But we'll see. We'll see what we do. I'm going to take another tight end here. Davis Allen, I think he'll go in the 6th, maybe the 5th. All right, so we traded back. We really addressed our offensive line. We picked up Cesar Ruiz. We picked up Titus Howard. We picked up Jonah Williams, right? Those are 3 contributors, solid contributors to our offensive line, all while landing Kalijah Cansey, Hendon Hooker, a solid corner that has potential. In my opinion, my favorite receiver in this class. Depth at offensive line again. Depth as an edge rusher, another corner who can contribute, a linebacker who can contribute. And then more depth. Like, I think, and a 5th rounder for the next year. I think that this was a much better class than the others. But let me know what you think. What should the Raiders do? Ultimately, what are they? We'll find out what they do on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of this week. I can't wait. I'm really high on Anthony Richardson, and I do believe if Anthony Richardson falls to us at 7, we have to pull the trigger. Like, I'm sitting here talking about how we need to get in the race for Caleb Williams next year, and that's fine, and that's truly what I think. But if you have a guy like Richardson who falls in your lap, like, the quarterback position is super important, and if we can end up taking Anthony Richardson, and then next year, even if we don't win that many games, have a chance to take a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. or something like that, that's helpful. I just don't think we should move up, give up next year's capital to take a guy like Anthony Richardson. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment, like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and as always, just win, baby.